You know what, guys? I am feeling it. Let's just go ahead and cast the entire upper bracket in one day. Why not? Was there like an info? No, there's no info for map picks and whatever, but I'm sure A-Game and Descara will tell us in the comments who picked what. But we are going in with the finals of Jaraci Cup 1. So these two players playing for the winner overall of the first mod tournament we've ever had in DOK, which I think is pretty exciting. A-Game not playing random this time for the first time, I think, so far this tournament. He is going to play Galician and Descara is Coalition. This is sort of the classic matchup. Really takes you back to those Artifact Cup days, huh? 'Cause things are all kinds of different now. And, yeah, I mean, obviously two players we've seen some awesome things out of so far. They, in fact, tied in their group stage, which I think was, like, just perfect, right? One of them won one group stage match, and then the other one won the other match. I think it's just too funny. Yeah, you know, probably the best micro player in the game right here. And then I think I've heard tales of the mythical Greppy being an even better macro player than Descara is, but Descara bringing that awesome mix where he also is very mechanically skilled. Definitely, I would say at this point it's hard to contest. These are the two best players in DOK. So now we are going to watch them come together in this final. I'm very excited. And not only that, but we've had a little bit of a format change up here. The final is going to be a best of 5, so at a minimum we're going to get 3 games out of this, which I think is pretty cool. Because, you know, the more we can watch these two guys play, the better it is. Talk strategy, A-Game going to be retiring that base burner. You notice he's not really a fan of quick dropping. He doesn't ever really compensate for, like, the little inefficiency of the base burner retirement there. Because what I like to do is try to drop those 13 CUs so that I get back to an even 50. But A-Game just doesn't care. Descara, meanwhile, going with AAV fabrication, and I think this is pretty standard from both players, which makes sense. You know, first game of this final, you probably just want to go in, do what you're most comfortable with, what you've always been doing. Descara, however, getting a little bit cheeky perhaps with this base runner. I'm kind of wondering where he's headed. Normally we see Descara hold the base runner back at home, and this of course is going to be a bit more of an AAV rush type of strategy. It's not Sport Cruiser first. Maybe along with that, he's trying to supplement by having the base runner ready to drop down some turrets on that second, but we'll just have to see. It's not been scouted at any rate by AGameAnx. Railgun Fabrication comes out right when he gets the requisite number of RUs, therefore. And I imagine we're going to see another... maybe not. I mean, I was saying he had a bit of a CU float. I imagine we were going to see another production cruiser, but he was saving up for a Fleet Cap 45, so... It is hard to say. But, this bodes well for him, I think, because though his attack is going to be repelled by the early AAVs, which are going to be coming out by Descara, he's going to have railguns easily in time for it. He can fall back, play eco. I think this is good for A-Game. I think he will, I think he'll like this. I don't know if I mentioned this already, but I'm pretty sure Descara will take this game. That's just kind of what I'm feeling. Both players, of course, like I mentioned, really playing very well, but I think A-Game really hit his form in the earlier days, and he's still extremely good, obviously. But I think that Descara's probably got the advantage over him here. Little ping comes out there in the sensor, but A-Game does not investigate it. Oh, he's going to. Okay. He's on top of this kind of stuff. That's the sort of thing that you expect to see from these top-tier DOK players, and he is going to scout. Okay, that's an AAV. I probably want to fall back, get ready to defend. But these Sand Skimmers, of course, going to do nothing for the defense against these AAVs, so A-Game probably going to be tempted to keep trying to attack with the Sand Skimmers, but... in reality, he should probably fall them back, just because of this base burner right here. And if he drops down a turret, it's going to be kind of annoying to deal with, and the Sand Skimmers would be really nice to cover that for him. He's also going to see an AAV right there. He can come back to the main, but he'll probably see another one get produced by that carrier, and he will have to fall back with those Sand Skimmers anyway. But yeah, like I was saying, I would expect that Descara probably comes out on top of this match. He's just been so good recently, and A-Game is, of course, also quite a good player, but... I feel like Descara probably wins this matchup, in my mind. A-Game gonna see that turret placement very early. He pulls the guys back just in time. I think he's not gonna lose a salvager here. It probably takes 3 volleys from that turret to kill him. He's only gonna get 1 off anyway, so he is safe there. And now the question usually is gonna be who can rebound the fastest and get back onto the eco, but it looks like Descara feeling like he had to go for railguns off the back of that to deal with the... to deal with the assault railguns from his opponent. So Sport Cruiser just coming out now, Refinery mode's about 50 seconds out. I guess that's still pretty even, especially because Descara is denying the long distance mining right now. even that Sandscreamer there attempted like micro to save that one. That's really cool to see from A-Game that he can like be focusing on so many places of the map at once that he pulls that guy back against like the turret. You know, I feel like most people just wouldn't even bother. Long distance mining is reestablished. Refiner mode finishing in about 20 seconds. It's looking pretty much dead even to me. Second production cruiser is on the way for A-Game. Probably carrier production upgrade going to come up about the same time too. But this heavy railgun actually getting caught out by the smoke push. Of course, AVs are faster than railguns, so they have that ability. And the assault railgun's kind of in an awkward position, so another heavy railgun going to go down as well. And the assault railgun's getting a little bit too close now. They're sort of getting toasted here. They want to back away from this. I mean, A-Game has the counter units here, but he's not finding it so easy as you would expect to take out these AAVs. The two assault railguns do survive, though. That's going to be nice. And that base runner should be easy pickings from A-Game as well. Probably going to get killed off right about now. Looks like he's actually just going to leave the Sandscammers to deal with this AAV. Usually not what you see people do, but he wants to keep those assault railguns for another purpose, so that's completely fine. Obviously, this AAV honestly might not even kill any Sand... Oh, it's probably going to get one, huh? But it will get killed off eventually by these Sandscammers. This would be even worse in vanilla. Actually, it is going to kill two. This would be even worse for A-Game in vanilla. The AAV just has so much more health, but at any rate, that is going to work out for him. Descara does go for railguns there. A-Game getting that third base set up. Missile ship fabrication comes out for A-Game. He doesn't want to deal with any like air transitions, it looks like, but I imagine he won't make an anti-air unit until he sees the air come out onto the field. Just, you know, he wants that to be a fast transition that he can make into anti-air, but not one that he overcommits into. That's, oh no, he's actually building a missile ship there. That's kind of interesting to see, because Descara has railguns already. It's like, it's unlikely at this stage that he would go for air. But he is gonna keep himself safe against that, I guess, and we've got missile ships coming out here. On top of that, he's also getting assault ship fabrication, so he's going for a very wide army. Not going into those later tier tech units, but yeah, you know, lots of the tier 1 units getting, or tier 2 units getting produced by A-Game here, it looks like, or at least he's getting the tech for them. Now then, it could be that he's actually going for interceptors or something, now that I think about it, but we'll just have to see. Things kind of quieted down for the most part, but A-Game is ahead, I should point out. He does have that base, which his opponent does not. This is probably a smaller advantage when we talk about like the really top tier players, because when the fight comes down, it can get a lot more hectic than in low tier matches, but that still is a pretty big advantage that A-Game has got here. In fact, because top tier players are so good at like sealing the advantage and kind of not throwing, maybe it's even more of an advantage. I'm not sure though. Good scouting here by A-Game, by the way. I love how he's always leaving just like one Sandskimmer off in the distance. You know, one Sandskimmer's over here, one guy's over here. He's getting that map vision. He does see the salvagers opening up the wreck. Although from his point of view, there are no resources in it at all. How unfair. And Sandskimmer is going to try to come in here and do another poke at the carrier, actually. Looks like they back away right when they see it. I guess he was figuring that Descara's carrier had moved out toward the middle or something like that. Railgun armor 3 on the way, so getting those upgrades for his units, that's obviously very important. But you'll note he actually does not have many of them. Just like 2 assault railguns right now. And it actually is going to be interceptor fabrication coming out. And meanwhile, Descara, of course he does. He goes for assault cruiser fabrication. This has become like his favorite unit. So that's really no surprise there, but one thing that is pretty non-standard here is going to be the precision bomber fabrication coming out of A-Game. Something that actually in vanilla does get done sometimes. When your opponent doesn't scout your tech, sometimes you can really mess them up with precision bombers, or peanut bombers as I like to call them, but in the mod they're much more, like, they're less of a toss-up unit. It's more just kind of like a legitimate choice now, but we haven't really seen it yet this tournament, I don't think. So, you know, we've seen nasty stuff happen with precision bombers before, but this is going to be interesting to see, because I think it's the first time we're seeing it on the mod, really. Except for maybe some of those modded games that I cast between Descara and A-Game way back when. Upgrades for Sandskimmers continuing, by the way, so this is clearly going to become sort of a core unit of his. And it is trying to make a push down here through the middle, but AAV splits from Descara are pretty good here. They're going to repel that army pretty nicely. Not really big losses by A-Game, mind you, because like he doesn't really care if he loses 1 or 2 sand skimmers, right? But he just can't push in. So he gets scouting, his opponent pushes off his attack, you know, it's pretty much even, right? Yeah, no interceptors made at all, he's just going straight into bombers, that's very interesting. And he's going to get the recharge upgrade too. Not ammo capacity, oh, okay. I take it back. He's going to get the ammo capacity upgrade, not the recharge one. And I was actually about to say that I think it made more sense to go for the ammo capacity one, because if your opponent doesn't have any anti-air out, you get to do more damage per run. Whereas if he does have anti-air out, now you get to do more runs faster, which means that you're less likely to lose the bombers because they can dock and come back out. So I think the more anti-air your opponent has got, the more sensible that recharge upgrade is looking over the ammo capacity one. And obviously, Descara not really predicting the precision bomber is going to be coming out into the field, so he doesn't have any anti-air at all. As usual, Descara pretty much on top of his smokes there. That base burner is going to be saved, but coming in pretty close, and that's a lot of sand skimmers, and they have damage 1 upgrade too, so precision bombers get scouted there, I think. Definitely that last one did. But what is A-Game gonna do with this? Cue the flight of the Valkyries. I mean, he's got a couple of dudes now. He can do whatever he wants. Looks like he is gonna go for one of these support cruisers. That ammo capacity thing is already finished, so if he can kill one of them in one pass, he can maybe kill 2 of them right now. These guys want to dock. Do they not have the ammo capacity thing? Uh-oh. They only dropped 2 bombs each, didn't they? I feel like they should have more. But he'll probably have some insight as to like why that happened, but I'll leave that to him in the comments. Oh no, but this is like A-Game's on top of the railguns here, but look at this assault cruiser. He is having a field day. This is exactly what he was made for. Now that I say it though, it's not looking as good as I thought it would, because a lot of these guys are on low health, but they do get out of there, and 2 railguns went down, which is probably fine for A-Game. Fight continues down here in the south. These AAVs getting shot at a little bit by these railguns, but this is looking pretty good for A-Game so far. Obviously 1 sport cruiser down for Descara, and he was down on eco before that happened too. This is pretty good for A-Game. I would imagine he would make like a production cruiser or something at this point, but not yet. And he's actually making a bit more anti-air too, which is interesting to see. Damage 2 coming out now on the sand skimmers. Missile ship does not whiff the shot against the probe, which is nice. Sand skimmer's starting to chew up these LEVs here. This is looking kind of dangerous by the carrier over there. There's a little bit of power in this thing, but you imagine this could be quite a few dead salvagers if A-Game pushed in here. There's a missile battery here, lying in wait to fire its mortar, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like A-Game probably ought to just push in there. Looks like he is going to. He's just waiting for the railguns, perhaps. Where are the bombers hitting, by the way? I can't totally tell. That assault cruiser is close, but the railguns are just going to do so much damage to him here, I would imagine. A-Game comes flying in with a big wing of sand skimmers here, but he's not going to go for the eco. He's actually attacking an AAV right now. Well, those bombers, I'm not really sure what they've done so far. I think maybe they're just going to dock. Okay, yeah, they're flying back out here. There is some anti-air on the field. Descara not getting sport cruiser anti-air, but he's got 2 missile batteries ready. 3 actually, I take it back. So this guy probably just needs to get out of there. I don't know, this is looking really good for A-Game. I just feel like he's got the whole field control and he's just kind of pushing in, you know, one side, the other side. Descara's having a really hard time holding off these pokes. And you know, if that continues on, Descara should eventually just lose the game, right? Sandskimmer armor coming out now, so A-Game continuing to upgrade this unit, which perhaps it doesn't look like he's had the biggest impact with the Sandskimmers, but the fact that they've been here has forced his opponent to do things which have actually really been very effective for A-Game. I imagine there'd be a lot more railguns on the field right now if there weren't these Sandskimmers here, you know, forcing the AAVs to come out from his opponent. Little attempt at a backstab by these assault railguns, that's something that they're very good at, but they are going to get held off by a bunch of AAVs that are in the area. Bombers come in though, but the anti-air is properly here, so A-Game probably just going to try to pick that anti-air off, although that guy should be fired, he just didn't even shoot. He got cold feet about the whole maneuver. AAV's pushing in to try to kill off one of the assault railguns, but there's just too many of them. I think they're going to have to back away. So what's AGame's next move? I guess he's got field control. He can keep extracting here, but... Look how many... Oh my gosh, look how many CUs he has. I guess he doesn't really need another production cruiser because he's actually fleet capped, but... Wow, that's crazy. What are the resources looking like on the other end? Not as good. So if I were A-Game, I'd start getting some techs, right? And probably the easiest one to get is Power Reserve. Maybe you can go up into like Siege too, because Siege is usually pretty good for, you know, ending these sort of standstills. Descara actually has already got it, I noticed, but it's not much chance he's going to be getting that anytime soon. Railgun fight's going to turn out really good here for A-Game. He definitely has the numbers. And now the damage is going to start coming out on this carrier. But look at that, there actually is artillery out, and the barrage is good, so... this could be some serious damage if A-Game doesn't deal with that artillery cruiser quickly. And it gets smoked! Excellent move there, so it can't even be shot at by those railguns. Oh my gosh, look at the carrier though, I didn't even notice this. Is there smoke to be deployed on this carrier? There is one. And that carrier is dangerously low, 1,000 health on it only. A-Game definitely winning in this position, but the question is he going to win right now, or is Descara going to have a chance to come back? But he's been pushed off of that main. That third base always had trouble getting saturated fully. There's so much action going on the board right now. Yeah, that artillery cruiser is going to be kind of annoying, but I don't see it bringing Descara back in here. And if he has to relinquish this second base, I'm sure there's no way he can come back. Bombers are circling like sharks in the sky here. They can't really go in there because of the anti-air. There's 5 of them, in fact. Quite a dense field of anti-air out in the middle there, but... You know, they can ensure Descara can't leave, and I mean, if the longer he's held up into this little pocket of the map here, you know, the less places this game could potentially go. One thing I'm really pleased about with this kind of match, though, is that it's really not based on what happened at the early game, like, based on what strategy they went for. You can see both players clearly had, the ability to like change the match after they picked their first tech, because often I feel in vanilla it's kind of like once you pick what tech you have in the very beginning of the game, you either win or lose sometimes, you know what I mean? Fortunately not going to be like that at all here. But yeah, there's just so many railguns for A-Game, and Descara can't push against these railguns, so I mean, you know, what does he do? He can't come in with Strikecraft, there's so many Sandskimmers out there, along with these assault railguns too. Artillery is nice for this, obviously, but it's not gonna work a miracle against A-Game or someone of his caliber. A-Game does end up getting Siege, so that's kind of like the next logical step. He should probably retire these 4 so that he can, you know, just get a little bit more fleet capacity, and you know, a little bit of CUs too. But obviously, he doesn't need that too much. But Siege would be really nice here, so maybe he should just kind of like throw away a couple of assault railguns there and then get that capacity for like some siege cruisers. Get them set up just like behind this high ground position, and then you're really going to start raining the hurt down on your opponent. I like all the turrets though from Descara, like the turrets and the artillery. You know, it's all really good moves from this position. I don't think it's going to make enough of a difference, but it's definitely like the right direction, you know what I mean? Looks like A-Game actually going to choose to sack the bombers, so they run in here through the anti-air. They are going to get smoked for sure, but I think he's doing that to get that fleet capacity up so that he can make some more units. And, you know, they can do some damage while they're here, so... Well, hold up now. What happened to all the Sandskimmers? What the heck? Are they all just, like, gone? Wow. Artillery's starting to get picked off here. There goes the support cruiser. Second artillery cruiser's dead, and that's going to be a wrap. And A-Game takes the first game in really awesome fashion. I mean, this was a good game already. I'm so excited for the rest of this series. You know, I always hope that it goes to an ace match because you're the caster and, you know, that's fun and the audience likes it too, but I really think it could because, like I said, I feel like Descara is probably the favorite here, and A-Game already taking game 1. I don't know. It's definitely Descara's not going to make this easy for him. It's going to be a long uphill battle for AGame to take the series. So I'm excited. Let's go ahead and load Game 2's replay in here. Let's grab G2. So what did it for AGame this game? Like, why did he win this one? I think maybe he was a little faster on eco. Yeah, I mean, he was. Perhaps that was the reason. I don't know. Game 2 going to be on the Boneyard, as you can see. Again, replays from AGame's perspective. You know, in the first Kara Cup that they did, they actually made it a rule that you had to submit the replay in the perspective of whoever won the game. And I was like, doesn't that mean that once you start the game, you can just like, oh, he's green, he wins. I remember casting the entire Kara Cup 1, like, I was just hoping no one was going to notice. Like, why does the green player always win? But there actually is a tool that, like, flips the replay so that you can get it from a different person's perspective, but, you know. Those were the days, man. That was my first time casting. I have fond memories of that. For some reason, that's one of my most viewed videos too, is like the very first game there. It's not even a particularly good game, and I'm not a particularly good caster at that point, but like, yeah, I don't know. First video you make tends to get a lot of views, I think. Relatively speaking. I mean, we're talking pretty small numbers for all of these, but you know what I'm saying. Looks like it's going to be Sport Cruiser first for Descara this time. One Salvager comes out before on like the long distance base. It's actually 3, right? Because he actually gets 2 of them over there on the RUs. And then Refiner mode is coming out early for AGame, who as usual has retired his base runner, but this time he's quick dropped and he's done pretty good. Dang, man. Alright. Like 3 CU inefficiency, that's the word. Which is not bad at all. I mean, normally you expect to have like 13 or even 20 or something like that. It's a bit of a quiet spell. Railgun Fabrication comes out for AGame. That's going to be his tech choice. Descara just now finishing LAV Fab. And it's going to be AAVs for Descara. This is somewhat of a meta that we've seen in the mod. I've talked about it a couple of videos before, but Coalition players not going for railguns nearly as fast. But then again, you know, we haven't seen people like Greppy, Garmulator, Catharsis playing on the mod. I'd really like to see that because they're sort of... They're very different from, you know, Descara and AGame and whatever. They have kind of a different view of the game, so they maybe would play in a different way. Unfortunately, they don't really support the mod too much, which I think is a little sad. But another production cruiser coming out of AGame here. He just wants to move up onto a 3rd base. And I think it is a little bit of a theme that I've seen so far, that if this kind of a game gets played, it tends to be that the Galician player has a bit of an easier time getting up onto his 3rd. I don't know, I just feel like the Coalition player feels a little bit more pressured to defend and such, and his support cruiser is always a little bit delayed. Might just be me, but, you know. Fighter and Gunship Fabrication coming out now for Descara. So, not going to be going railguns as he did last game. Instead, he wants to counter the railguns that he expects AGame to make to counter the AAVs with his air units there. And this is kind of that classic Descara style. We've seen that many times, obviously. You know who I really wish played in this tournament was Sparrow. That'd be so cool. I really just want to see him play again in general. I was so excited when he came back for that one Kara Cup, and then he just kind of left again. I even made a whole video about it when he was playing with Descara. Which, by the way, apparently Descara was like super drunk during that game, but I feel like that only makes it better. Descara is a fun guy. I'll have to meet him sometime. We were close, you know. He's in Denmark and I was in Germany, but I went to Canada, you know, over the last weekend, but didn't have any time to see if maybe I could meet up with like Last Rites or Maze or something like that, but that would have been cool. He's in Alberta. Nice place there. A lot of driving though. I was in a car for like too much time. I don't even know. I think it was like 12 hours to get up there and then like 12 hours back or something. Just for one weekend. but it was worth it. Gunship coming out actually for Descara. Again though, not filling out that third base, and I gotta say, I feel like this is probably going to come back to bite him. Perhaps. And you know, A-Game getting anti-air already again. I don't know, perhaps I need to kind of rethink the way that I've been viewing the game, because the mod of course is different than vanilla, and I think I still kind of view the mod in kind of vanilla terms, where like these two base plays can be really powerful and stuff like that. Perhaps it's not really so, actually. Perhaps you really need to get up onto 3 in the mod. And getting anti-air is like, you know, don't actually get the anti-air units until you see your opponent's air forces on the field. Maybe not, you know. Maybe it actually makes sense not to now. Air Force is going to be revealed now for Descara, so here come a couple of strike fighters and that gunship circling overhead. Railgun Armor 3 is already coming out for A-Game. I like that a lot. We saw this last game too. It's very early to get those upgrades. It's really how you want to be. But the strike fighter is going to come in here now and try to kill off these air units, and that maybe is going to give an opening for the AAV to come in and strike at the eco. The gunship is already doing that. And suddenly this attack seemed like, this was really cool because we don't see this too often in DOK, but it's like a trap was sprung almost, you know what I mean? And suddenly Descara is coming in with everything at the same time against this base. Doesn't lose any of the air units, which is really prime. And I think he killed all but 2 of the salvagers there, so that was an excellent little poke right there. Again though, what's it really going to mean if he's still behind an eco after the back of this? He needs to get another support cruiser, hey! Okay, excellent, so never mind. That would mean, I think, along with the artifact extracting too, which is almost just like icing on the cake, that Descara is ahead so far. Again, I'm going to be getting interceptor fabrication. He did that last time, and he didn't actually go for interceptors, but maybe he will this time. Turret gets set up for Descara right on the extraction zone. That's just going to smack these sand skimmers to death, as it does. Probably being put there to try to secure the extraction zone. And, you know, probably also to save the base burner, but that's going to probably come into play later. Like, I imagine that turret's not going to be a waste. Turrets, of course, considerably less cheesy in the mod than they are in vanilla, but, you know. In fact, we have another vanilla tournament going right now, yeah. Someone actually rage quit the tournament because of turret cheese. I think it's a little sad, you know, because like I don't want people to feel that way when they play DOK, but it's also kind of funny, you gotta admit. Another thing A-Game talked about at some length with me was that assault railguns have this incredible capacity in vanilla. Like we really haven't used them as well as we should. I remember back in the early days when no one really used assault railguns, and like Magpie would be casting and someone would make an assault railgun, he's like, yeah, this is probably a mistake, you know. But they really have like this incredible ability in vanilla that we really haven't quite unlocked yet. I think we're just because, you know, we're not quite good enough at using them. In the mod, they've actually been nerfed, and yet still, you know, they keep making appearances. And A-Game, for one, is such a fan of the assault railguns that he will just make these things like all the time. As you can see in this game, that's like the big backbone of his army. Another interesting thing to note, tripping over my words there. I talk really fast, I guess that's why. Another interesting thing to note is that A-Game tends to only make 2 production cruisers. I saw this last game too. Okay, I say it right as he begins making a 3rd one, but you know what I mean. Like, this is pretty late for a 3rd production cruiser, and usually when I'm playing, I prefer to unlock my carrier pretty early, get that 3rd production cruiser out there, and that allows me to, you know, win railgun fights if we take them, stuff like that. But it seems like A-Game instead focuses on getting a unit that he can build out of his carrier, like interceptors. I'm taking notes. taking notes. Now, A-Game really wants to stop this extraction, but he backs up with the assault railguns. He's not going to stop it this way. I think that's a response to the air units, but I'd really rather have seen him try to take it out there. I know there's an interceptor fight going, but I think this is a little bit more relevant. Oh my gosh. No, don't attack the turret! Oh no, I feel like that's a little bit of a choke right there. A-Game flying over the base like he is, I would have expected him to take some more damage with these interceptors, but they're doing just fine. Actually, an anti-air turret post gets set up in the middle here. This gunship probably feeling a little bit awkward about his position in the world, but if he can get out, he'll be happy with that. I think he can. Another interceptor is going to go down here, but A-Game definitely coming out on top in that particular engagement. But he correctly realizes that it's time to head back home, because something is about to happen on his main. Descara is trying to push over here. He's got Power Reserve 2 artifacts, and a couple of railguns. He's going to try to make a power play, and he's actually got fully upgraded railguns here too, so... Railguns for A-Game are in position though, and they're getting up on this high ground back here. I don't know if this is going to work for A-Game. These assault railguns going to be a little bit awkward in this scenario. They can't contribute too much, but these heavy rails in the background means that, you know, these rails can't push in, and the assault rails were also kind of doing the same thing. And I think Descara going to have to push back here. He ended up taking about half the health of his carrier off. That's really not what he wanted. I think he was hoping that was going to be, you know, the power play that can potentially finish off the game, especially as he was kind of playing around with the artifact over there and A-Game was chasing. He knew quite a lot of that army was not going to be back at home, but those assault railguns, again, proving their worth. They get back home really fast, and they're ready to hold off that attack, so... Good hold by A-Game there. And that missile ship, that's just BM at this point, manages to hit the gunship as he's launching. Gonna be kind of annoying for Descara. He'll be looking for a use for this thing, just kind of keep him circling until he finds one. But Interceptor over here, just kind of trying to screw with these AAVs. I would actually rather he just shot down this probe, because that's some real damage that you can get right away. You know, right away. Uh-oh, don't fly over the base runner though. That was cool. Yeah, okay. Because the turret takes some time to rotate, so yeah, he like barely survived that. Like, that was a lot closer than it looked, probably. Scoreline is 3-1, mind you, so this is pretty good for Descara. This is where A-Game probably starts getting a little sweaty about it. But map control, still looking pretty good for A-Game right here. And it is going to be precision bombers again, so 2 games in a row he's going for this unit here. First game he did not make any interceptors at all, but this time he's got them. We're not going to see, you know, that same kind of like air transition shock effect, because there are actually already 3 missile batteries out here, and we saw in the last game just how effective the missile batteries were at holding off the precision bombers from really getting any damage in. But, you know, we'll see. A-Game feeling confident, he's just going to be making them there. And this carrier... Anyway, Power Reserve 3 coming out for A-Game as well as for Descara, but look at this railgun force here. I want you to take a gander at these 2 armies. In fact, what are the numbers looking like? 11 to 9. That's crazy. That's a lot of railguns. We don't usually see that many in a game. When they do end up fighting, their battle is going to be legendary. This is probably something that 3v3 players like to see, because, you know, 3v3 is all about just making gigantic armies and smashing them into each other. You know, we don't usually see that in 1v1, but it looks like it's going to happen today. 3v3, man. I have mixed feelings about 3v3. Perhaps you can tell. But A-Game doesn't want to be here. This is bad, actually, because if the railguns do come over this hill, they can all come over at the same time. They're going to have high ground, and they're going to smash through that position. Descara also looks like he wants to use his carrier in this push, but his health is already pretty low. I mean, if the same thing happens as did last time, he could maybe just lose the game right there. That's a little bit risky. I don't think Descara has the power to push here. I think it's A-Game who's going to make the first move. If you just look at the relative map vision, I think it's kind of coming true. I mean, A-Game's slowly inching over onto this side. He's getting closer and closer to his opponent. Artifact-wise, Descara is feeling quite comfortable here, but... Oh, and here come the bombers. I was like, not even realizing that that's what this was. The anti-air is not here, it's with the railguns. And we're gonna see another support cruiser snipe, just like last game. That's pretty bad. I mean, this is not what Descara wants. AGame needs to be careful not to fly over this anti-air here, but he's probably already done the damage, so maybe it's okay. Losing one bomber there, though, in kind of a fashion that I feel he should not have. Gunship comes over here to try and get some damage done on the assault railguns, but I think that's a dead gunship if the interceptors just come over to deal with it. But they don't, they actually just kind of leave, so... But gunship is still kind of getting killed by that missile battery, or missile ship over there. Range upgrade is not finished, but frankly I'm still not sure if the range upgrade actually works. There's this funny mod in vanilla where the range upgrade does nothing but actually remove the Vet 4 bonus that missile ships get. I think a little bit of a railgun fight actually happened there. I was not quite watching it, but I don't think really much happened, because the numbers haven't changed much. I think like both sides have lost one. So maybe a little bit of an engage and then a disengage there. AGame wants to get field control over there because then he could extract, but this is something that you'll see on the Boneyard that I think makes it a very good map in general, is that it's difficult to extract, right? Because the player who starts here has an easy time holding this area of the field, and likewise does the player starting here have a fairly easy time holding that area. So extractions are not very easy on this map. You really do feel like the players have to come up with kind of creative ways to get through and extract over their opponent. Descara going for Power Reserve 5, this is what we all knew was coming, and I'm kind of dreading it because I really hope a game like this doesn't get decided by cruise missiles. AGame's got the money to do it too, but it doesn't look like he's interested in that tech just yet, but he is floating a lot of resources. Okay, he is now. And, I don't know, I feel like the eco advantage that AGame has had in these two games have both kind of been reflected that way, where he's floating like tons of resources, you know, so it's like you can't break his bank, really. And Descara has got a very deadly field force out there on the field, but if he loses a lot of units all of a sudden, he's not going to be able to replace them so easily. This, by the way, big problem here, and AGame seems to very intuitively understand that once those AAVs push there, his Sandstormers had an opening on the back line. I'd like to see him just go for the eco. I don't think he needs to worry about that base runner right now. Yeah, he probably just shouldn't stand still either. There we go. Oh, railgun fight's kind of going on too. I didn't catch this. Everything's kind of happening at once here. The eco down in the back there is just going to get absolutely ransacked. And Descara trying to make a push here on his opponent. See if he can maybe finish the game off at this point. Power Reserve 5 is finished, so he's got the nuke ready. Support Cruiser goes down there. This base Bernard is not extracting, which is a little sad. But I'm not sure if he would have made it anyway. There are two assault railguns in the hood. Okay, cruise missiles coming out on the railguns here, but I think it's going to miss. They're going to get two of them. AGame's carrier a little bit exposed though, but he does have so much power he's able to back away, and this missile barrage is going to be insane. The railguns are all there and they can't really leave very easily. AGame's railgun number is really low here, but I think the Descaras are about to be even lower. Oh no. That's just a destructive missile barrage right there. Kills all of the railguns. And now Descara's carrier really kind of high and dry here. Some damage was done to AGame's expansion, but I mean the CUs are getting run out anyway. Descara, I think, losing a lot more on that eco trade, and his carrier out here right in the middle with only about half health. Gonna start getting shot down by this Gaussian carrier here. Probably more railguns, you know, about to come out. Well, I mean, Descara's actually got the frontline production upgrade at this point, but still, I don't think he's gonna get out of here. Especially with the bombers, they're gonna do some damage too. No upgrades on the bombers this time, but even if Descara gets out of this... Well, now that I look at it, I mean, Descara, it looks like actually is going to get out of this, isn't he? Maybe. Yeah, no, I think he's actually going to get out of this. Okay, no, he's not, because the Gaussian carrier is so fast. Now, I'm really not sure. I'm having to think about it. Yeah, okay, it looks like Descara is going to get finished off right here. There actually are some railguns up in this... Well, those are assault railguns, but... And when your opponent's got 100 armor, assault railguns don't really do too much. But Descara is going to go down. And what an awesome game to continue this series, but AGame is winning 2-0, and this is really not what I expected. I mean, like I said, I really figured Descara was going to be on top here. Let's go ahead and load in Game 3, but... I don't know, I feel like what Descara needs to do... I feel like what Descara needs to do here is be a little bit faster getting onto his third base, because he's consistently behind in eco. He's taking good fights, right? But I don't know. I feel like he's kind of getting like his macro is not as good as AGame's, it seems, which is really kind of surprising. Normally, you know, that's kind of what we would consider his advantage over him being. And A-Game's field control and his game sense is really on it right now. You can see, like, so many times he's managed to get this backstab in there, and Descara just is not ready to hold it. I mean, we've seen, like, 3 or 4 base snipes each game so far. This map is going to be the shallows, and I think that's good for Descara because it's a lot harder to get base sniped on this one, but he's really got to step it up, you know, he's down 2-0 in the series. Now, to be fair, back in the Artifact Cup days, we always used to see A-Game get down 2-0, and then he would win anyway. But, you know, he's also kind of a magical Lithuanian guy, so I don't know if Descara has got that same ability. Descara is the Swedish monster, you know what I mean? If he doesn't win right out, he's just not going to win. A-Game's more slippery than that, so this is the headcanon that I've built for the game anyway. Skimmer Fabrication comes out of A-Game a little bit earlier this game, I think, than the last 2. I might be wrong about that, but I think he got Refinery Mode faster last game. Whoa, and that's a little bit interesting too, because of course the map is the shallows, a lot harder to attack here. I wouldn't be surprised to see A-Game playing more eco on this map than he had on other ones. Descara going to be going Sport Cruiser first. He's done this many times. He's quite adept in the art of carrier turning. So, you know there's a bug in DOK where if a unit tries to spawn on impassable terrain, it gets teleported to the origin of the map, which is right here in this case, right? I'm imagining, like, if we had really, like, insanely pro players, you know, like, unreasonably good players here, that what they would try to do is, like, whenever they made LAVs or whatever, they would, like, rotate their carrier facing this way, so all the LAVs, like, spawn right here in the middle of the map, and then they would, like, rotate him back to make his sport cruiser or whatever. But unfortunately, I don't think the game will ever come that we see players that good playing DOK here. Interesting to note, by the way, A-Game is filling out his both of his long-distance bases before getting Refiner Mode here, so I'm not sure exactly what the idea there is, but that's the thing. Pointed vans underway. And he's going to move out his production cruiser out into the middle, so it looks like Refinery Mode not coming anytime soon. Assault railguns are on the way instead. Descara going to scout this now with his probe, that's good. Probe does get shot down, but that was worth it to see that. And he's going to go immediately for railgun fabrication, that is definitely the correct response. He should be safe here. I mean, I don't think A-Game can really do too much damage at this stage of the game, but you never know. After all, this railgun fabrication is still going to be about 30 seconds out. You can see him getting LAV armor as a response as well. It doesn't want these guys to get killed so quickly by the assault railguns. And armor is very effective against assault railguns because they fire like 4 shots in a burst or something. So obviously, you know, armor is like 4 times as effective as it would be against normal railguns. Base runner's still here, but he's moving right out into the middle. This is a little bit risky. I feel like Descara maybe ought to be a bit more careful with the base runner. I love the echoes in the shallows, by the way. It really sells the map, I think, the way that it echoes around everywhere. LAV Armor 2 finishing now for Descara. Heavy Railgun's already out for A-Game, but of course Descara has the option of getting up onto that high ground position. LAVs and Sandskimmers trade 1 for 1, but that's because of the Assault Railguns. There's actually only 1 right now, I guess, but it's doing some good damage. And I wonder if Descara was moving the base runner up with the hopes he could maybe drop down a cheeky turret right up in the front line there, but it's not going to work out for him. He may actually lose the base runner for that. But the railgun is up on the hill here now. Probably wants to just target these heavies immediately. The heavies are definitely the priority here because they can kill his railguns off too. That base runner, he's pretty clutch. He should probably just head back up to that sport cruiser at this point. Oh, he's gonna get killed here. If stray bullets were a thing in DOK, I'd be worried he would get killed off by one of them even. Oh, he's getting healed by the carrier? Yeah. I don't see the heal beam, that's kind of funny. Turret does get set up down there in the back. And A-Game's gonna back away from this. Refiner Mode coming out with a second production cruiser, and if Descara goes for another sport cruiser, they're gonna be even, but I'm a little worried he's once again gonna do it again another time, not make another sport cruiser and then find himself behind in eco a little too far to recover. He's got the money for it. I just don't know if he's going to make it. And if I were A-Game, I'd probably leave this guy back here and move the carrier out too, but it looks like he's going to do the opposite. Oh, well, he can't move the carrier because refinement mode's 20 seconds out. I guess I do stand corrected there. Descara making salvagers, that's the right direction. Come on, 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 yeah, yes. Yes! Okay, excellent. So, I'm saying that because I really don't want to see a repeat of the last two games, necessarily. It's going to be more exciting even if it's, like, closer. Plus, I'm really rooting for Descara to win this one because then we get more games here, so... Little foray of LAVs here going to get repelled by the Assault Railguns. Nothing special there. And A-Game, once again, getting missile ship fabrication. I imagine he's going to get another missile ship, too, a little bit early. Like I said, this is something we haven't seen in vanilla, really, where top-tier players will get anti-air before their opponent even makes air units. Maybe unless you're playing against, like, Catharsis or something. Like, if Descara loves air, Catharsis really loves air. But, you know, there you go. A-Game beginning to make base runners now. He's had field control pretty much this whole game, but he hasn't really been making base runners during that period of the game so far. And I think like he always would do that during those artifact cups that we used to watch, but base runners costing RUs now really is a pretty significant change. I think that's the biggest reason why he doesn't do that. It's just because, you know, spending RUs on base runners when you're still very much trying to build up armies against each other is probably not very wise. Railgun Armor 3 coming out now for A-Game. Excuse me. Descara with no upgrades in that regard, mind you, because he hasn't even gotten to AV fabrication yet, but there it is now. Doesn't have the mag accelerator either, but that's not really much of a surprise. You wouldn't get it in this case. And it looks like Descara is going to extract here. I don't imagine he'll be stopped. The Assault Railguns are moving out, but by the time they get there, the base burner is going to be so close. Maybe if he wants to save the base burner, he'll move away now, but like... Well, I mean, he doesn't see that this is coming, does he? But yeah, I'm sure he'll extract here if he just goes for it, just sticks it. I'm wondering if we're going to get a tier 3 tech choice coming in here for either player. It looks like Descara liking to stay on the tier 2 units right now. He's getting the heavy vehicle armor for his railguns there. Oh no, buddy, you haven't extracted here. Oh no. Not like this. Not like this. But the assault railgun's chicken out too, so... Okay, he's gonna move back in there. Yeah, so heavy vehicles armor 3 coming out now for Descara. It's going to be good for his railguns there, and probably mag accelerators following, because I have a feeling it's going to be a railgun fight pretty soon. And the thing is, if Descara takes the railgun fight right now, he would win, and he's definitely got the numbers for it. Those assault railguns not going to be able to do too well if there's like a long-range engagement, but I imagine A-Game going to position rather nicely and stop the fight from being taken that way. But yeah, mag accelerator does come out. We got some long-distance mining from both players off of that 4th base location. And it's going to be Honor Guard cruisers now for A-Game. That's going to be his tier 3 choice there. And I imagine with it, he's going to try to phase out the assault railguns. Although, he is a big fan of that unit, so maybe he'll keep him in there, but... We'll just have to see. Extraction goes down for A-Game, bringing the scoreline to 1-1. And this is where the wisdom in taking that middle artifact comes from, by the way, because now it's very easy for him to get this one, even if he's kind of lost a bit of map control in the meantime. Assault Railgun's just kind of annoying. That 4th base location does manage to kill a unit there. But it doesn't look like either player is really interested in getting that to be a fully operational base. And seeing how the other games have been, where both players have these really big resource floats, I feel like that kind of makes sense. They haven't really needed 4-base economy yet. They've kind of been like maxing out their production on 3 bases anyway. Honor Guard cruiser fabrication finishing now, and I imagine we'll see A-Game make one of those pretty soon. Assault Railgun's kind of getting jumped on by these LAVs, but generally we see LAVs lose this kind of fight anyway. Then again, they do have their upgrades and they're on top of them, so maybe this is going to turn out better. Heavy Railgun's going to try to contribute, but you know how well that's going to work. And actually, this could maybe be very bad if the LAVs can get up on top of these Heavy Railguns. But the LAVs back away, so the Assault Railgun's managing to... yeah, they do manage to take this fight. And that's what I was saying earlier, like, Assault Railguns, they've been nerfed in the patch, mind you, and they still took that fight, yeah? These things are pretty good. There's only, like, 3 of them left now, though. And so, you know, if there's a railgun fight here, if Descara just makes a bunch of LAVs and they have a railgun fight and he targets the assault railguns and kills them, he can come in there and potentially just, like, sweep all of these. At least that's the thought. But then there are Honor Guard cruisers coming out right now, aren't there? And that could be pretty bad. I think it's Maze versus Descara in Car Cup 11 or something, but there's this funny moment where, like, all these LAVs are driving up here and the Honor Guard cruiser just, like, boom, and kills all of them in one shot. And someone told me to, like, watch it in 1/4 speed, and it was funny. You know, base runner heal would be pretty cool here. It's probably more important to just get the artifacts scored, but I think Descara is taking this railgun fight really handily. And that's Lancaster's Law for you right there, too. These railguns kind of killing it. And suddenly, A-Game feeling like he's not got anything left on the map. This Honor Guard cruiser is coming out, though, which is nice, but... he's gonna need a whole lot of assault, not assault railguns, a whole lot of heavy railguns if he's gonna stay in here. Assault cruiser fabrication coming up for Descara now. Maybe that makes sense if he expects his opponent to go for a transition into, like, heavy strike craft to counter the railgun numbers. A-Game probably ought to get up on the hill here, but the range for the railguns is the same, mind you, so if he does that, he might have to give up the second base location, and that's probably why he's not getting up onto the hill there. Honor Guard is out, and that can be good against masked up railguns, but it can also be very bad because they can die really quickly. This is going to be a stressful hold for A-Game right here, and I think it's looking good for Descara right now. Scoreline is 2-2. No one's kind of getting ahead in the artifacts. Honor Guard lands a really nice shot there, though. Manages to damage, I think, 4 of the railguns, and one of those gets killed. Artillery coming up for Descara now, the tech anyway. And I don't know, it kind of looks like A-Game's holding this now. Second Honor Guard is coming out too, and that's where it gets really dangerous because they can, you know, working together, they can one-shot LAVs and whatever. So is A-Game making another? No, he's making another production cruiser. Maybe he's gonna fill out that 4th base. He's got 2 Honor Guards, a bunch of heavies. He still has that field of assault railguns too. I think Descara's artillery is gonna be good here, and he definitely bought enough time to get it out by that push there, right? But I don't know. I almost feel like I'd rather just see him have a whole lot of railguns instead. But then again, I mean, Honor Guard cruisers do a really good job against railguns, so I don't know. It's tricky. I feel like I'm not totally sure, you know, who should be ahead here. I'm not sure who's making the better decisions. Well, zoomed in a little farther. Artifact does get denied there, but possibly at the price of these railguns. A lot of railguns up here for Descara up on this high ground. And that's a good position for them too. You can see A-Game going to have to back away from that. Power 4 coming out for A-Game as well as for Descara, so they're both kind of teching up at the same time in that regard. Looks like that 3rd production cruiser is actually to unlock his carrier, and he's going to start moving out here. Oh, that is a sport cruiser. Looks like no air from either player this game. Actually, that missile ship was just barraging the sport cruiser, but he gets killed for it. AGame has no siege, right? So it's going to be tricky if the game becomes a little bit standoffish here. But if he takes the railgun fight now, he could maybe have a good chance here. But Descara sees it. I mean, he knows with that probe exactly where those railguns are. This is why probes don't have very big vision radius, by the way, because you really don't want the situation where, like, you know where your opponent is and your opponent doesn't know that you know where they are, right? Because that's just kind of, like, nasty. AGame is going to back away from there, and both players on powers are 4 now, so the carriers are pretty nasty guys. Do note, carriers a lot easier to kill in the mod, so they do need to be careful with them, but, Croft? Taking damage? Looks to me like Descara wants to make a bit of a push here, but I'd like to see him get these artillery units a little bit further back. I'm worried that they're all just going to get killed in like the first salvo of a rail fight there, and then not really going to have much of an impact, and those are expensive units too. Both players have power 5 available. If we remember last game, I think the cruise missile, most people would agree, is better than the Gaussian missile barrage there, but last game it seemed almost to be the opposite. That missile barrage did so good in just taking out all of the railguns. I think the cruise missile is a bit more of an all or nothing type of deal, you know what I mean? To be fair, the missile barrage actually has been buffed, I think, in the patch. Oh my gosh, who is piloting this ship? He needs to be fired immediately. He's just missed 3 shots in a row against this probe. Okay, he does manage to land his hit finally. What's artillery firing at? Just him? Yeah. You can feel the tension building. Both players about to strike here, but I don't know who's going to come out on top. I think there are more railguns for Descara. Kind of a nice concave going here for AGame. Oh, and a nice honor guard shot lands as well, which does quite a bit of damage. And they back up again. The tension just builds even further. I mean, it's like neither player is able to really, you know, definitively say anything to the other one. Artillery doing a really good job here against these assault railguns. That was definitely where they wanted to be, because maybe there's an opportunity for AGame to trade all of the assault railguns for like for heavy rails to his opponent too, but gonna be denied there. First base is starting to get mined out right here. I'd love to see the players just hop onto their 4th then, because they do have that available. Yeah, if AGame will just move this production cruiser over here. Otherwise, you know, you start losing money at this point, but both players have got the cruise missile available, and I think AGame's like splitting of his army here is definitely kind of indicative of the fact that he understands exactly what that means. Like, him getting power 5, I'm sure he'd recognize his opponent was at that too. Sandstorm's trying to take a fight here, I think, because the artifact is going to get extracted otherwise. And it's actually turning out pretty nicely because the honor guard cruiser gets a good hit on the railguns there. But suddenly AGame's carrier is just way out here in the open. The cruise missile should really be on the carrier. I think he could just kill it off. Instead, it kind of whiffs. AGame's missile barrage lands down on the railguns here. But his carrier is so low, he's just going to have to evacuate out of there. He's winning this fight here, I think. Oh, he loses an honor guard cruiser. This is just crazy. Action going on everywhere right now. But all the railguns from Descara seem to have gone down again. Just this time he's got artillery too. Probably getting a little bit ambitious with this carrier though. I'd like to see him get some power into the armor and get out of here. Although maybe, oh, okay, honor guard's gonna go down to the artillery there. It's crazy. Okay, and Descara's gonna get another artifact out. AGame cleans up all these railguns, and again, I'm not really sure who's come out on top here. This is crazy. Power Reserve 6 coming out for AGame now. He's got full power in the repairs on that carrier, trying to get him back into action as fast as possible. This production cruiser again really needs to move over there, and I feel like Descara should do the same. But that artifact not going to get scored anytime soon. In fact, there is actually an assault cruiser out now. That's a good choice here because it gives Descara, whose railgun force has just kind of been killed off. A nice kind of like frontline unit to deal with, you know, maybe like a strikecraft backstab that would happen at this point or something. It's also going to be nice for taking out this this base runner here. And there is no way that is going to extract. Oh, Descara once again. So setting up a turret here on AGame's 4th base, which is just nasty. This is looking pretty close. Timer's ticking down too. There's only about 10 minutes left in this game. We got range calibration coming out of the heavy railguns now. And that could actually make a big difference. That's a tech that we don't see terribly often, but you know, there's a lot of potential in that, you imagine. If you can outrange your opponent's railguns, you know, you can do a lot of damage that way. In fact, there's a fun strategy I've seen on the shallows. It's a little tricky to pull off, but you go in with like a 1 PC railgun push in the beginning and get range calibration, like right in the beginning of the game. And then, you know, you can push in on your opponent there because he's like up on the high ground, but you're hitting him when he can't even see you. You know, really nasty stuff there, and you can like potentially win the game off of that. Production cruiser is getting up in that location. That turret is super annoying, but these assault railguns are more than enough to handle it. Although I'm kind of questioning why these were made actually, because I feel like they take so many resources out from, you know, the heavy railgun force, which is what's probably going to make more of an impact. Maybe I just don't believe enough. But this base runner is going to be spitting. Down he goes. AGame's carrier taking a bit of damage there, you know. Goes for a little peek and just instantly gets shot in the face. He's gonna have to back away there. But he does know the location of those railguns. If he wanted to, he could fire like a missile barrage right here maybe, but don't think he's gonna do that. It's important to save these like game endable abilities for, you know, when it really counts, right? Same with Descara, although he's gonna launch now. And where is it at? Ah, it's a whiff. That's not good. This gives AGame the well, I mean, this sand skin right here is gonna feel a bit unlucky. Ow. But this gives AGame the option of pushing if he wants to, because he knows his opponent has not got the super weapon. This support cruiser here gets spotted, not going to be able to achieve his mission there, but nearly made it, and you saw how close he was there. But the missile barrage is ready. That is so many assault railguns, and I think AGame is expecting that there's a 4th base set up here, but there is in fact not. Those mains, of course, getting mined out at this point. I'm sure there's nothing left there, even though we can't see it. Power 7 coming out for AGame now, and Descara still didn't even get Power 6, mind you. AGame sees that there's no 4th base, and he just immediately backs away. Actually, he takes all of the assault railguns to deal with this one LAV, which I think is pretty funny. So many assault railguns, and he's gonna make more. He really believes in this. I don't know though, because like once they meet these railguns, they're gonna have a swift demise, I would expect. Ow! I can't believe I signed up for salvaging. Uh-oh, railgun fight takes place here. It's not going to be good. Range calibration was researched? No, it was cancelled. I would like to see that, actually. Two salvagers killed by that one LAV. That's crazy. Heavy's here a little bit out of position, and I think this assault cruiser is going to have the better of him. Maybe. Yeah, they're actually probably going to get away there. Assault railguns come in here for a little bit of a poke, but artillery is there and railguns, so they can't, you know, push in because of the railguns. They can't stay out because of the artillery. But that missile barrage is good, and again, it takes out so many railguns here. this carrier getting pretty ballsy. He could really die to this artillery, but he's doing a lot of damage here. With those railguns gone, the assault railguns are ready to come in, and suddenly it all seems to be coming together. I didn't trust in it, but maybe it's get. Oh my gosh! Look, all those railguns just got killed by the cruise missile. Holy goodness! Well, AGame's invested into more power than his opponent has, and these assault railguns are going to clean out the artillery. And they're going to clean out the eco, you know what? Because if he just backs up after this, I think that's the play now from AGame, is you just go up onto the top here, clean out that fourth base. Or maybe you can do even better and come over there. There's a couple turrets set up, though. And I feel like it's still back and forth, man. Base runner heal getting used here to try and protect the carrier. Nah, but Descara's going to have to leave this. He can't take this fight. I think he's going to try to stick it, but I don't believe he can do that. Assault railguns actually come back, I think, just to kill off railguns that Descara maybe would make at this point. AGame's carrier at half now. The armor on that coalition carrier proving to be pretty effective, but there's no rehealing going on here, and there's just enough heavy railguns to get quite a bit of damage in there, and AGame can just leave. I mean, he's a speedy boy. I think Descara has got to get out of here, but it's kind of too late for that. 4 minutes left. I mean, maybe if he leaves, he can't really kill this base burner. He's just gonna keep going in there. He's committed, man. He's gonna do it, but he's not gonna do it. He's gonna die here. Oh, Descara. Yeah, this is gonna be game. I don't think he can get out at this point. And that's gonna be GG. Dang, a 3-0 for AGame. I didn't see that coming at all, but he wins in stunning fashion too. Man, would you believe it? You know, I will say I'm a little slightly unhappy that it came down to the super weapons, because obviously I'm of the opinion that they should just be removed from the game, but most people who don't have that view probably are going to really enjoy that, so maybe that's fine, but maybe it's just me. But man, AGame wins. Nice. So, you know, he wins on his own patch. Oh, hashtag rigged. But no, not really. In fact, in most of the mod games that were going on, I feel like Descara was ahead. Like, he was winning most of the mod, like, testing games that they played. Well, nicely done. I hope you guys really enjoyed the tournament. I'll get to casting the lower bracket probably starting on Monday or something, but man, that was a good one.